Hello and welcome to this session. This is Professor Farhat. In this session, we would look at understanding the client as part of risk assessment. Specifically, in understanding the client, we're going to be focusing on understanding the client system. Now, in a SOC engagement, and specifically a SOC 2 engagement, assessing risk is important as these reports provide an assurance about the controls at the service organization concerning security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, or privacy of the system. What are we saying? Well, think about the subject matter. We're looking at trust services criteria. We are reporting on trust services criteria, which are security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, or privacy. Now, what do you need to do when you are engaged in an attestation engagement? You need to understand the client if it's a traditional financial statement. How about if you are engaged in a SOC 2 engagement, and specifically SOC 2 Type 2? What does that mean? It's SOC 2 Type 2. It means trust services criteria. Even if it's a SOC 2 Type 1, you are looking at internal control over financial reporting. Same thing. You have to understand the internal control of the client. Here, what we need to understand is the client, but specifically focusing on their systems. And this is why we need to understand the system, because security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, or privacy, they work in a system. So the system under review include various components. So what is the system? What's the client system that help organization meets its defined business objective? But what is a system? So what is a system? The system has various components: infrastructure, software, people, data, and procedures. So this is the system, and we need to understand the system of the client as part of risk assessment, as part of understanding the client, as part of our attestation or auditing engagement. And each of these categories is critical to the functionality and security of the system and plays a crucial role in maintaining the SOC 2 standard of trust services criteria, which are what? Again, security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. And this is why we need to learn about the system in this session as part of a risk assessment, as part of an attestation standard. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about the component of the system, so you understand what is the system composed of. Then we'll discuss a little bit more about drawing boundaries inside the system and for what purpose. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, farhatlectures.com.
Farhat Accounting Lectures is a supplemental educational tool that's going to help you with your CPA exam preparation as well as your accounting courses. My CPA material is aligned with your CPA review course such as Becker, Roger, Wiley, Gleam, Miles. My accounting courses are aligned with your accounting courses, broken down by chapter and topics. My resources consist of lectures, multiple choice questions, true-false questions, as well as exercises. Go ahead, start your free trial today.
Starting with the first component of the system, there are 5 components. Infrastructure. What is an infrastructure? It includes all physical and virtual resources that support the operation of a service organization. What those could be? Well, we could be talking about cloud infrastructure, virtual servers hosted offsite providing scalability and flexibility for handling varying level of demand. That could be part of an infrastructure. It could be the networking hardware, routers, switches, firewalls that manage data traffic and secure data flows across the organization. It could be data centers, facility that house critical servers and computer system with high level of security measures such as biometric access control. It could be physical controls, physical security system, surveillance camera, alarm system that enhances the physical security of the infrastructure. So infrastructure is part of the system. We cannot ignore that. Let's talk about the second component, software. Well, software is the engine that runs the hardware. Software is essential for operating and management of the IT system. What would the software include? Well, it might include an ERP system, integrates core business processes such as procurement, sales, and finance, an enterprise resource planning system. It could have a customer relationship management. The CRM software manages interaction with clients and customers, storing data on customer activities and preferences. Software could have a security software that include antivirus program, encryption tools, and intrusion detection system to protect the organization, data, and operation. It could include development tools used by developers to create, test, and maintain software application vital for the organization operation. So anything that goes under the software is part of our system. So infrastructure, software. Well, what else do you need? Yes, you need infrastructure, you need software, but definitely you need people, the third component of a system. People are human resources who operate, manage, and use the system. And they could include IT security team that focus on implementing and maintaining security measures to protect data and manage cybersecurity threat. It could be operation staff. Those are the people that ensure the day-to-day operation and address any issues that arise within the IT infrastructure. It could be our customer support team that provide assistance to users of the system, ensuring customer satisfaction and support. It could be compliance officers, ensuring that the organization adheres to laws, regulation, and standard relevant to its industry. Also, people are part of the system. What else part of the system? Data. Data involve all information processed and stored within the system. And this could include transactional data, records of all business transactions that occur, which are essential for financial reporting and analysis. It could be personal data of customers, include sensitive information that must be protected under privacy laws and regulation. It could be operational data used for the analysis and optimization of business processes. It could be audit logs. We could have all sorts of data. Audit logs tracks and records who perform what action within the system, and that's crucial for the security and compliance of the audit. Again, data is part of our system. That's the fourth component. And the last components are procedures. Procedures are operational and business processes related to the services and product. What could be some examples of procedures? Well, change management processes. It governs how changes to the IT environment are managed and documented to minimize the impact on service quality, and we have a whole section about change management. Quality assurance testing, procedures to ensure that the new software or update meet the required standard before they are deployed for security reasons. Disaster recovery plans, steps that the organization follow to recover from a catastrophic event, ensuring business continuity. Data backup procedures. On a regular basis, do what? Schedule backup to prevent data loss and provide data recovery option in case of a system failure. And this is the fifth component. So hardware, infrastructure, let's not call them hardware, infrastructure, software, people, procedures, data, all these are part of a system that we might be assessing. Why? Because all these part of the system, as I just mentioned, and everyone, they involve security, they involve privacy, they involve processing integrity. So that's why we need to understand the system as part of our risk assessment. Also, it's important to draw clear boundaries. Clear boundaries in what? Clear boundaries in various systems. In a SOC 2 engagement, understanding and defining system boundaries is crucial because it specifies what part of the organization's setup are being evaluated. Sometimes we could be evaluating one part of the company. One part means one section. These boundaries involve the infrastructure, software, people, and data that are integral to the service. But sometimes one system could be connected to another system. So sometimes we have to have a clear system boundaries. Why? Because it's going to help stakeholders, people who are interested in a SOC 2 engagement, regulatory bodies, clients, and management understand the scope of the audit. So we need to understand what does the audit cover, because sometimes part of the system are integrated. So this transparency ensures that all parties are aware of the areas being assessed, being evaluated, being audited, and the controls in place. Also, system boundaries help in managing expectation and in demonstrating compliance with specific criteria relevant to the organization, service commitments, and objectives. Because we're going to talk next about service commitment. Service commitment is what we promise to do. What we promise to do through a system. So first we need to understand which system are we using to provide the service commitment. We'll talk about the service commitment in the next session. But that's why it's important to draw boundaries within the system. Now what do we mean by boundaries? So let's assume we are auditing the human resource management system. So what will be the boundaries of the system? What will be included in this? So the boundaries of the system dedicated to HR management include all components involved in employee-related processes from recruitment and onboarding to payroll, benefits, performance management, and offboarding, recruitment, payroll processing, benefit administration, performance management, employee data management, employee offboarding. All of those will be part of the system. So why do we need to establish boundaries to say, okay, this is what we're doing? We are assessing human resource management system. Well, establishing boundaries ensure that all HR processes are secure, compliant, and efficient, protecting sensitive employee data and supporting effective HR management. Let's assume that's our service commitment. Here we have to draw basically like a clean boundaries, because if that's what we're doing, we have to look at all the component of the system and make sure we tell you this is exactly what we are auditing. We could be also looking at an information system management system. Information system management system. The boundaries encompasses all components critical to maintaining the confidentiality, integrity, and the availability of the organization information assets. And this would include network security, tools and technology that protect network infrastructure, including firewalls, intrusion detection plans, secure VPN. It could include data encryption. It could include access control. It could include threat management. It could include compliance monitoring. It could include employee training. So notice here, what I'm trying to show you is, yes, we're going to draw boundaries around this information security and management system. The purpose here is to also define those clear boundaries. But if you notice, this information system encompasses many other areas of the company. Basically, it integrated with many other systems. Yes, we'll try to do what? Draw a clean boundaries, but it's very difficult sometimes to draw those clean boundaries for certain system, but because it encompasses many other areas. So boundaries are not clear cut. Expanding boundaries depend on the operational need. What do I mean by this? So the boundaries of each system are not fixed and can be adapted based on operational requirement for strategic goal of the organization. Take, for example, we have an e-commerce platform. An e-commerce company, the SOC 2 engagement might extend to include systems that handle customer transaction, data analytics tool for customer behavior, inventory management system, and the cybersecurity measures protecting these systems. So it's not only the e-commerce, system itself, it included other systems that's integrated with it. Or a telecommunication service company might define boundaries that could include network infrastructure, customer data management, service delivery platform, and emergency response system. So the system, depending on how we define the system, depending on our operational need. But the company will have to define the system, and because as auditors, we have to understand what system are we evaluating, what system are we passing a judgment on. Let's take a look at this multiple choice question from farhatlectures.com. What is the main reason for defining clear system boundaries in a SOC 2 engagement? What's the reason for that? Is it to determine the financial stability of the service organization? Systems and financial stability, they're not really related. Financial stability deals with your accounting, revenues, expenses. I would say that's not relevant for us. To ensure all critical components are included in the assessment. Yes. To assess something, to evaluate something, you have to tell us exactly what are you evaluating. You have to identify, you have to draw clear boundaries about the system that you are evaluating to ensure all critical components are included in the assessment. I will keep this one. Between A and B, I will take out A. To facilitate the external audit of the organization. The external audit, they use their own risk assessment. They're not going to rely on this because this is a different type of engagement. To comply with international trade regulation, not related whatsoever. D is out. So as we expected, B is the correct answer. What should you do now? You want to go to Farhat Lectures, look at additional MCQs. That's going to help you whether you're studying for your CPA exam, especially if you're studying for your CPA exam, information systems and control, accounting courses, finance, any professional certification. Invest in yourself. Good luck, and of course, stay safe.